So I'm going to talk to you today about your nature journals. I've really been excited to see everything that you have drawn and what you've noticed in your nature journals. I'm going to give you some pointers. As you know, I'm learning right along with you, so I just want to share with you that if the weather's bad and you can't go outside, you can choose anything that you want to that was once alive to do a nature journal entry on. I grabbed some things here. Kaylee was really nice and she gave our class this really cool skull. How neat that is. This would be a cool thing to do a nature journal entry on. I also have a beautiful sequoia pine cone. You know, anything from nature is really neat to do nature journaling on. This is from a sequoia tree. I gave Kaylee a couple seeds. I wonder if they grew. We'll have to find out. And also I just have a little house plant right here. This is called a mother plant and it's a succulent. It's a special kind of plant. It doesn't make seeds. It grows from cuttings. So I just wanted to show you that you can do nature journaling on a lot of different things. What I've asked you to do for this week is to choose one thing from the outdoors to focus on. And I found this really neat, let me hold this up to you, this really neat piece of wood. It's like a little twig that fell off of my oak tree in my backyard. And hopefully you can see this, but it has all these different colors of green on it and also all these different colors of browns and yellows, and there's these little tiny orange dots at the very top. So I decided to do my nature journal on this, and I wanted to model for you how to do this. I'm loving your responses, your observations, and the things that you've chosen to write about. So first thing you're going to do on your journal entry is you are going to do something called metadata. And we talked about this in class, but your metadata is the date, the location. I happen to be at school today, UELF, Runner Park. The temperature is 55 degrees. It's sunny, no clouds. It's absolutely beautiful out. The humidity is 61%, and the wind speed is 15 miles per hour. So what I did is I took my little twig here that I was just really interested in, and I drew a little kind of a real size picture, but I didn't trace it. And I'm not, again, I just was using the colored pencils that I have. I didn't actually have a lot of colors, but I just did the best I could, and I used different colors that I saw. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. One of the things that I really noticed right away when I really looked at this were these little orange dots on the top of the moss, and that really made me question, do I really understand what moss is? Do I really understand what lichen is? So that's one of my questions that I have. So on this, I found this, as I said, in my backyard underneath my oak tree. And there's so many different kinds of oak trees, and I wanted to learn more about oak trees. And one of my questions is, I started thinking, do these kinds of mosses and lichens only grow on oak twigs that are kind of dying or alive? Does it harm the oak tree? I don't know. So I'm curious to learn more. So I can't really read backwards, so I'm going to just show you this as I go. So I found this on the ground, and I was amazed at all the little mosses and lichens. Notice how I put lines between my metadata at the top and why I chose this particular item. Now I have my headings. I notice, I wonder, and it reminds me of. And I used those symbols. We've talked about the symbols on my cover, and hopefully you have it on your cover too. We did this in class. On my cover, I have my little key here, just to remind myself that every time I do a nature journaling entry, I include those three things. It helps guide my writing. So one of the things that I notice is that it's very lightweight. When I hold it in my hand, I can hardly feel that it's in my hand. It's really lightweight. It's just a few ounces, really. And it's not very long. I took my ruler, and I always like to use metric. Okay, so I measured it, and it was about 8 centimeters long. And also you can use, your fingers to kind of help measure too if you don't have a ruler. It's about as long as my index finger, okay, about as long. And as far as width goes, I measured it, and it was about 1.5 to 2 centimeters long, okay? And when I smelled it, because again, you're going to want to, use all your senses with this, seeing, smelling, touching. You're not going to taste it, but when I smell it, it just smells kind of like fresh grass. So I wrote that down. It smells a little bit like grass. Kind of interesting. Made me think. Wonder if it's related to grass plants. And as far as color goes, there's lots of different colors of green on this. So I wrote that down. So the green, it's greenish. And so I'm writing all my colors down that I noticed. Okay, so I wrote greenish white frilled lichens on the twigs. So see how it's kind of frilly? It's frilly, okay? And it also has hairy tendrils. Look at that, they're hairy. Looks just like hair. Sorry, that's not very in focus, okay? It's very hairy. So hairy tendrils, and also there's orange and brownish on the top, orange and brownish. So I noted the colors. So again, seeing, smelling, hearing, I can't hear anything, but if you're outside and you're nature journaling, I want to talk about what you hear as well. There might be birds around. All right, now comes the second part, which is I wonder. Okay, now things that I'm curious about. I want to hear what you are curious about in your writing. So I wrote down, I wonder if this is moss or lichen, or if it's something else entirely. I wonder if mosses and lichens are plants, and I wonder if they make oxygen. I don't know. I want to learn more about that. I wonder if animals eat this, or maybe squirrels collect this and they make nests out of it. I wonder if other trees have the same kinds of moss and lichen, or if this is specific only to the oak tree. I don't know. And it reminds me of, again, we use those little symbols. I notice, I wonder, it reminds me of. And when I felt this, the texture, it feels like a kitchen scrubber. Those little green kitchen scrubbers? It reminds me of a dish scrubber. And it also reminds me of seaweed because it's, see how it's all frilly like that? It reminds me of seaweed. And it also reminds me of a magical world. And the oak, it also reminds me, interestingly, when I looked at this really carefully, the top moss right here, or lichen, I'm not sure which, actually the way it grows, it reminds me of the way an oak branch grows. It's like reaching for the sunlight. And it also reminds me of fancy dresses. So I did this journal entry just to kind of show you how to do yours. And as you get more and more observant, you'll want to write more. Again, you're going to want to use front and back of your pages. So this is what I have so far in my nature journal. I'm not done with my cover. I want to add some more to this. I want to put all the different leaves of the oak trees that grow along the laguna. And again, you can do the whole page. I have my roots over there. I'm going to keep filling this whole thing up. And this was my very first journal entry. And then I learned some more, and I added on things. And this was the lesson that we did in class. Everything that we do has to stay in our nature journal, okay? So if you end up being away from home and you end up doing your nature journaling on another piece of paper, just take it, and I want you to glue stick it back in there because I want everything together. This was our Observe a Pen lesson, and then this was the lesson for today. So have fun with your nature journaling. Again, you're going to be choosing one smallish thing to really observe, and it can be indoors or outdoors. I hope this was helpful. Can't wait to see your projects. Bye.